Yours here right now, the kind of night we dream about. Oh, 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 it's beautiful. flies when you get it right. So hold on tight to me. Love like you never grew up, and live like you just get one tonight. We're kings and queens. One blink and it's over. Wake up and we're older tonight. We're kings and queens. Stop, take a breath, close your eyes, remember this. Oh, 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 it's beautiful. Love like we never grew up, and live like you just get one tonight. We're kings and queens. yours here right now. The kind of night we dream about. Oh, 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 oh. It's beautiful. Yeah, time flies when you get it right. So hold on tight to me. Love like you never grew up, and live like you just get one tonight. We're kings and queens. One blink and it's over. Wake up and we're older tonight. We're kings and queens. Stop, take a breath, close your eyes, remember this. Oh, 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 it's beautiful. Love like we never grew up, and live like you just get one tonight. We're kings and queens. One blink and it's over. Wake up and we're older tonight. We're kings and queens. Time flies when you get it right. So hold on tight to me. Love like we never grew up, and live like you just get one tonight. We're kings and queens. One blink and it's over. Wake up and we're older tonight. We're kings and queens.
Hey everybody, this is Carl. Welcome to Carl's Opinion. Starting here at 8:30 tonight, and got some news to cover, and we're going to get to it here in a second. The big news of the day: Kamala Harris made her public announcement today that she was running for president. Gave a speech to a pretty packed audience there in Oakland, California, where she was. I believe she said she did her first trial and made her first argument in court. And mixed reviews. I've been watching a little bit of the internet today. Definitely some mixed reviews from all kinds of segments of the political community out there. So I'm not sure how she's going to be received in the long run, but today's any indicator, this again is totally, I would say, it's definitely mixed. Some people are upset with her for being in an interracial relationship. That doesn't make any sense to me. I don't get that, but that's just me. But and then some people are upset that she's married to a Jewish guy. That even makes less sense to me. I don't get it, but again, that's just me. So again, I'm not a liberal. I'm a conservative, diehard, and but if I was a liberal, that's probably somebody I'd be looking for. She's gonna be a tough fighter. She's gonna be able to carry the whole nomination process, the whole primary process, all the way to the end. She's not going to make a lot of stupid mistakes. She's going to be able to think on her feet. Hey, none of your business. How you doing there? She's going to be able to think on her feet, and she's going to get ready to run for the money. And I think she sent a nice little message out to Cory Booker today, too, to pretty much stay away, reminding everybody that she used to prosecute people for sexual assault, a la the, hey, Lalo, hey, how you doing? But she used to prosecute people for sexual assault. And, I think it's a shout out to Cory Booker, probably even a little scare tactic for Joe Biden. She's letting the field know that, she's serious. And she also letting us, hey, Lalo. And she's also going to let everybody know that she's going to be able to get the money together because she's already raising a bunch of money. She's claiming that 75% of her donations are for people less than $200. But the big takeaway from that is like 25% are from people over 200, and that 25% that over 200 is going to be a lot over 200. So she's going to have plenty of money to run the California campaign. Again, that was moved up to March 3rd. I'm not sure when Iowa is, but I think Iowa's right around like February 3rd. And in California, you can early vote. Early voting starts 30 days ahead of time. So they're bouncing California right on top of Iowa. And again, Iowa's like a big prize, just because you won in Iowa. Yay, whoop-de-doo. But the delegate count numbers for California versus Iowa, it's not even close. I mean, I think San Diego County has probably as many delegates to offer as the entire state of Iowa. So, I mean, or maybe if you take San Diego and Orange County combined, and I think they probably have more delegates they're going to offer to the convention than the entire state of Iowa. So, mucho dinero. Hey, definitely lots of money you need lots of money to run in California. She's putting that war chest together. She has name recognition in California already. I mean, she was Attorney General for, I think, 7-8 years, and I don't think it was a full 2 terms. I think she got appointed the first time. And also, she was DA for San Francisco. She was a trial attorney down there, and now she's been a U.S. Senator. They put her on committees to get her a lot of attention, judiciary, obviously, as well as the Intelligence Committee. So, they put her in places where she's going to get a lot of press, and that was done on purpose, obviously, because they saw her as a rising star as soon as she got elected senator. Probably saw her as a rising star before that. You know what? You gotta see, Layla. This is what I was talking about. How many people said that about Donald Trump in 2016 or 2015? How many people said that about him? How many people said there's no way in hell he's gonna win? There's no way in hell he's gonna win. And what did he do? He won. You got to be really careful when you get complacent about people. This is not somebody I'd be complacent about. This is somebody with a lot of money, a lot of poise. She, again, she works inside of a courtroom. She knows her way around a courtroom. She ran an administrative agency with the Attorney General's office. Whether she ran it good or bad, she knows how to run a staff. She's going to have a lot of support from her own family, from her husband's family, and all their friends. And they got a lot of them. So, and they got a lot of friends with a lot of money, and they got a lot of friends with a lot of money with a lot of power. And you know, I don't. You know, let me tell you something. That speech she gave today. I mean, Gillibrand. What's her name? Pocahontas. Elizabeth Warren. Yeah, I mean, you know, they're gone. Cory Booker, forget it. He's what you think Cory Booker could go toe to toe with her? There's no way. And you know, like I was saying, she's not hard on the eyes. You know, and that goes a long way with a lot of people. So you know, it just does. You know, I mean, she can go to like she can go to Iowa, she can go to these small towns in Iowa, she can go talk to people, she can go connect with people, and they're gonna like, hey, they're gonna be receptive to her. You know, immediately, and they're gonna be wanting to sit down and talk to her. Yeah, exactly. You know, so you know she has that advantage, and you know, and hey, I'm a really good-looking guy, so I understand you know that whole looks advantage thing. You know, a lot of doors have been open for me because you know I'm a really good-looking guy. You know, I'm just saying. So I understand. You know, hey Texas, how you doing there? But well, like I said, she's not hard on the eye, so that gets her you know a long way right off the bat. You know. So, what I say to everybody who's writing her off right away, again, they wrote Trump off from the very beginning. I mean, all the networks wrote Trump off from the very beginning because they put all their like weak correspondents covering him, like you know NBC, you know Hallie Jackson and that other one who's got a show now who I can't stand that Mark Dice makes fun of all the time. Um, well, yeah, okay, Nanya. I'm glad you don't find her attractive. Okay, that's yeah. Okay, well, okay. No, actually, I just started this off about Kamala because I was just talking about the news of the day, and of course, the big news of the day was her announcement, and but I was getting ready to get into another story actually, but it was the news of the day, and it seemed like worth mentioning. Everybody else is talking about it. It's getting a lot of buzz all over media. Axe did his entire show over on Kamala Harris, and a lot of people did. You know, a lot of Black YouTube lit up on it. A lot of people on Black YouTube were saying, you know, well, she's in a racial relationship. You know, she's not. You know, her dad's Jamaican. You know, her mom's from India. You know, all that kind of nonsense. So my opinion counts for all. There you go. So no, I wasn't. No, I don't intend to do a full show on Kamala Harris. But again, definitely the news of the day, and it's definitely worth talking about. But anyway, there's our live call-in number, 775-273-8970. And then, of course, the video call, just send me an email to ca2jogger@gmail.com. And the spelling's right there. And what you want to do is just let me know in the chat if you're going to, in fact, do that so I can go pull up my email and then shoot you a link. You fill in your Ask Nunya. It's really simple. You just fill in your username, you hit join call, and you're in. So there you go. So, but yeah, it'll be an interesting race for sure. But I think she's clearing the field, and I think a lot of Democrats who were thinking about running, like Beto O'Rourke, like if he runs, you know, now, I think, you know, whatever. But you know, he's not going to have much of a chance. But let's go and get to the other news that is going on around here, and I'm going to cut over to the Washington Times. Thank you, big shout out to the Washington Times, and let's put me in here real quick. Boom. There I am, and this is the Washington Times. There's several stories here, as you can see, and the story here: Roger Stone, sixth Trump associate Robert Mueller has arrested. And again, just the way they arrested him was really didn't make any sense. I mean, the guy's always out and about. I mean, we kind of touched on this last night, but you know, he's not hard to find. It's not like you had to go to his house at 6 a.m. in the morning and you know, bang on his door and drag him out in his pajamas. I mean, you know, that's just for, you know, to get, you know, FBI is not supposed to be doing things to get publicity. In fact, you know, a good assistant U.S. attorney does not want additional pre-trial publicity, because one of the ethical things you have to do as an attorney is to try to not encourage a lot of pre-trial publicity on any kind of a case, especially a criminal one, because you don't want the jury tainted. You know, if this thing goes to a jury, and you definitely, I mean, it's definitely a mistrial if for some reason, like say for instance during the trial, not automatically a mistrial, but definitely the request comes in and the judge is pretty hard pressed to say no. If during a jury trial, like say in this case the U.S. Marshals, like Mr. Stone's in custody, or like when Manafort was in custody, if they had brought him out in handcuffs or shackles, or his prison, his jail outfit, detention center outfit, in front of the jury, that would have been grounds for mistrial. Because you do anything at all possible to avoid the jury seeing the defendant in handcuffs or already constrained, because then the impression the jury gets, well, he's guilty because, look, he's already locked up. That's why I was laughing when a lot of people had criticism. Well, how come Mueller gets to wear a suit when he goes to court? I mean, there were actually people on air who get paid 6-7 figures a year actually questioning as to why Mueller was allowed to wear a suit, a really nice suit, in court. And, it's amazing, and some of the legal people that were on these shows who had to respond, former U.S. attorneys themselves, even though they're on a liberal show, they're still former U.S. attorneys, and you can tell they're just having to dumb down their answer for these idiots, that they're, who are getting paid a hell of a lot more money than they are, to say, well, we really don't want the jury seeing him in jeans or, prison outfit. You get to see the strain, it was like, oh, God, I got to answer this ridiculous question. And it's really sad. Hey, Amy, how you doing there? Yeah, we got Nonya, Texas, Lalo, Amy, Nonya, Amy, in the house. And I thought I saw somebody else. I don't want to leave anybody out. Yeah, okay, good. I'll make sure I got everybody there. But yeah, thanks everybody for joining the live stream tonight. Totally appreciate it. And yeah, I was just kind of waiting for everybody to get done. Definitely waiting for Axe to get finished. While I was watching the show, I was watching most of it. I was kind of running around the house a lot today, and then I had to run out to the store, and I had to do this, and I had to do that. And so I really didn't get a chance to sit down and watch this whole show. But I got the flavor from the first few minutes, and I kind of saw where it was going. But then sure enough, when I came back, I was like, people are still bagging on her. It's like, well, you know what, though? I mean, you put yourself in the public eye, expect to get bagged on. I mean, that's just the way it's going to be. I mean, you got to be willing to take your hits. So, that's just the way it is. If you want to be a public figure, you're going to be willing to take a few hits here and there. Excuse me a sec. But so let's see. Roger Stone. We'll get to some of these stories right now. Carl, can you explain why the D.C. cases always go to the Ninth Circuit? Actually, the District of Columbia cases, or maybe you meant district court cases, but what that's pretty much called is forum shopping. In other words, like say you have a federal question, and you can find some reason why, like, the Ninth Circuit consists of, like, say, California, Nevada, I want to say Utah, Oregon, Washington, Arizona, and I'm not sure about New Mexico. New Mexico might be in the fifth. Oh, we got a call coming in. Let's see who this is. Caller, you're on with Carl's Opinion. Can I help you? I'm sorry. What were you saying? Hold on. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, yes, Texas.
Hey, Texas, how you doing?
Yeah, hey, yeah, I'm pretty good. Yeah, hello, Patriots in the chat room, everybody. I wanted to weigh in a little bit on Kamala Harris. She pronounces it Kamala, but everyone calls it Kamala. But anyway, I didn't know much about this, but I heard about her and the Willie Brown, and she kind of made her way up. I mean, I think Axe read what Mark Dice wrote when he tweeted, and I mean, it's true. But I think what they were also talking about in the chat room, this is kind of some inside info. I kind of don't like always talking about race, but I did want to share this, that she's going to have a tough time, and sadly, a lot of people are making this about her husband. To me, that's no big deal. I don't know him. He seems to be a nice guy, but it goes to show you that all this identity stuff, this racial stuff, is going to eat them up, and it's coming for her too. Because now about the black community, she's going to make a big deal about her having a white husband. But instead of sadly looking at the fact that her politics are dangerous. I mean, and I think the woman's dumb. I really think Kamala is not a smart woman. I've heard her speak, and I'm thinking that's starting to make sense that she kind of rose up the ranks maybe through some favors and stuff.
Well,
that's mean to say. I mean, I know
No. She may be like a, being a really good trial attorney does not necessarily make you a really smart politician or make you wise on policies, that they're going to affect the country, whether it be immigration or, because I remember she was asking when Pompeo was actually initially going for CIA, because initially, remember, he was the CIA director, and she started asking about climate change because she was on that committee when he was going for his confirmation hearing.
Yeah.
And he kind of just looked at her like, no, we're not really kind of studying that. Like, he was trying not to be rude, like, say, what the hell are you talking? Why are you asking about climate change? I'm here, getting confirmed for the CIA, and you want to know about what our plans are regarding climate change. Like, do we have, like, evacuation plans? Are we going to take over certain countries? Are they going to take us over? What's our, all that kind of, contingency plans? And he's kind of looking at her like, no, we're not, So, I mean, yeah, just because you're a good trial attorney doesn't necessarily make you good at all the issues and everything. But, you don't have to, you don't have to be really smart on a lot of the issues to win election. Hence George W. Bush in the year 2000.
It's sad. Well, yeah, but it's exactly. And that's what I think is also a slap in American people's face, just like with, Ocasio-Cortez and the other Habib. These are, and even Maxine Waters, people are getting tired of this. I mean, Sheila Jackson Lee is here in Houston, and I've been listening to lots of Michael Berry. Michael Berry was a city councilman a long time ago in Houston, and he's an attorney here. But he has a podcast, and he's really, really funny, just hilarious. But he calls her out, and I didn't even know this, but I do know that this is another thing. Black people tend to be very colorist. So
definitely.
So it's really the sad thing. You probably found that out watching some of these, in the black sector of YouTube.
Yeah.
But yeah, so she's going to have a hard time. But the thing is, and this is what's another little sad thing that's really pathetic, but this is the truth. And you have to say it, because then once you know this, you'll see it a lot. You'll always see it. What's sad is when I saw a lot of especially the black people go in on Kamala Harris, a lot of the black men were like, well, she's not going to, she has a white husband. And she used to date Willie Brown, a black man. Now, if she were still dating or married to a black man, they would love her. That's the thing. They would vote for her. They would love her. But the fact that her husband is white and that she left, she's now married white and she was dating a black man before, this is really dysfunctional. It's a whole lot of that. And that's why one of these days I just want to see everyone just kind of come to leaving this racial stuff out. But for now, just to see it go away, because we really just should embrace being an American. And once black people, and every one of us starts, to do that, things will get much better. But the fact that people don't know a whole lot about just the policies. I mean, Sheila Jackson Lee has been elected so many times. This woman's wearing a ring that represents support of pedophilia. No one even knows it.
I did not know that.
Yes, she has a ring on it, and it's a symbol that the FBI that they compiled all these and figured out what the symbols were. Yes, and tonight I was on I briefly went to Owen Benjamin. He's enough about that race stuff. I'm starting to even get tired of it myself. But Owen Benjamin is a comedian. I know, but I just wanted you all to know that. I really did, because I feel like we're family.
I mean, it's a shame, because look, she should be judged on her policies, and
that's bad enough. And that judges her for me. That's
but I mean, like, okay. I'm not a black person, but say I'm a black person, and that's like, I identify as a black person, and I support candidates who support, black issues, okay? And you can find what those are. You can go to, like, the black conscious sites like T West, and you'll say, okay, this is the black agenda. I mean, he actually lays it out, so I mean, that's kind of easy to read. It's like, okay, it's like 21 points. Mm-hmm. And if you're a black person who wants somebody who supports, like, say, T West black agenda, then you just got to check off the boxes and say, okay, I support her or I don't support her because she backs this agenda, or she doesn't back it, or she backs 80% of it but not 20%, so okay. But if you can sit there and you're not, and say she X's all the boxes on the black agenda, T West's black agenda, and then you say, well, I'm not going to support her because she's married to a white guy who's also Jewish, it's like, are you stupid? And you're like, are you dumb? I mean, she's giving you the policies. I mean, like for instance, the evangelicals
Who
voted.
is this? Who is this, Carl?
Oh,
Who is this T West? Is this just a fiction or is this a real person? I'm sorry.
No. T West, T West is a really good guy. He's part of the black conscious.
Oh.
Yeah, part of the black conscious community.
Okay.
And he actually came up with. He says, look, which is good because he says, okay, we're all like running around, saying, okay, we support this person, support this person, support this person. Like, if I'm not mistaken,
Yeah.
I don't want to put words in his mouth, but I don't think he was a big supporter of Stacey Abrams because she was in favor of turning Georgia into a sanctuary state, and he's against illegal immigration.
Right. I mean, exactly.
Right. So in other words,
Yeah.
the point is, if you find a candidate, say for instance Kamala Harris, and I don't know her positions on the black agenda, I have no idea. But if she's like,
she's basically Hillary's little sister. I mean that's the way I felt.
Well, yeah, but I mean,
it's bad.
Right. The point is, you judge your decision to vote for somebody based on do they X your boxes, your policy boxes. For instance, in 2016, a big reason why Trump won was because the evangelicals came out for Trump. Trump is no evangelical. Trump is an adulterer. Trump is a philanderer. Okay, he's not even close.
Right, exactly.
But the evangelicals said, look,
yes.
He supports our policies. He pre-named all the judges he would choose from to appoint. He went to the Federalist Society, got a list of names, which of course the evangelicals are totally on board with, and he says, "Hey, okay, yes, I'm not an evangelical, but these are the judges I'm going to appoint. And if you vote for me and I get elected, I'm appointing these guys. You have my word on it." And he kept his word. Now Kavanaugh was added to the list. He was added, but the evangelicals, well, he's okay. So he kept his word, and they put aside their differences. Now, if they had said, like, well, he's an adulterer, we're not going to vote for him no matter what. No, they said, hey, we want our policies to go through. We don't care about the messenger. We want the message. And so the black community, if this woman is behind them, then, they need to get behind her and say, well, okay, she's in love. She fell in love with a white guy who's Jewish, who whatever. She didn't do it for status. She wasn't like wanting to hold on to the arm of a white guy for status. She doesn't need status. She was DA of Oakland, of San Francisco. She was attorney. She didn't need to marry this guy for status. She already had status. So she married this guy, obviously, my guess, because she fell in love with the guy. Okay, get over it. And if you like her policies, vote for her. If you don't like her policies, don't vote for her. Period.
Right. Exactly. Yeah, her policies suck. But that would be the only reason. I don't care that they're trying to say, well, she's now pretending to be black and all this stuff. But yeah, my thing is, I just don't. When I listened to Kamala Harris and I looked up what she thinks, and I just thought, oh no. But yeah, didn't know much about her family background. I mean, but black people were supporting Shaun King, and Shaun King wasn't black. And so that's, the Black Lives Matter guy, he's white, pretending to be black. They supported him all this time. So now, again, they're also harsher on the women in the black community. Black community is very male identified. So that's another thing. But anyway, Owen Benjamin. I didn't know this about Bill Maher. Owen Benjamin is a comedian. He's been blackballed lately. He's, he's very conservative. Mm-hmm. And he plays the piano while he does his humor and his comedy. He's really a smart guy. And anyway, tonight he was saying, I couldn't join his chat because it's members only, but I listened in. And he was saying that Bill Maher has a production company called Kid Love. And he said, Bill Maher, this has been stated about Bill Maher for a while now. It's a pedophile. I didn't know this. I used to love Bill Maher. I didn't know he was, when Trump came in, all these, unless it's like all these people became afraid because this guy knew their business. Just like when Oprah said she was going to run and Trump said, no, she's not. I know her secret. You haven't heard a peep out of Oprah, really, about running. She came to support Stacey. But, but he knows their stuff. And Bill Maher, I've watched some of the stuff Bill Maher would say, and I'm thinking, I didn't know he was this evil. But I used to buy his books when he came to Houston. That's about almost maybe nearly 20 years ago. I, went to see him in person because I really thought he was very funny and I liked him, but he's a monster.
Oh, he was good up until Trump looked like he was gonna win? Because I mean, he was pretty fair even during the
but
election.
we wouldn't have known his secrets either. We wouldn't have known the stuff about him either. Had Trump not been.
Well, what stuff? What stuff? I don't know. I'm kind of at a loss because I don't know what other than his political views. I mean, you know other stuff. There's other stuff that came out about Bill Maher.
Oh yeah, he has a production company. Owen Benjamin stated tonight. Bill has a production company called Kid Love. I mean, he's one of the pedos. And I knew he was hating Trump so badly, and I was wondering, what is this about? I mean, why is this man just really after Trump? And it just got worse and worse and worse. Well, that's because he's in that club.
Wow, I did not know that.
Yeah, Bill Maher. Wow. Yeah, and now I'm not surprised. I mean, it's just now I can look back and say, okay, yeah. Is always speaking of hatred for children. That's another thing he did a lot when I used to to watch him. He's always kind of anti-family. He said he made a comment years ago saying I'm for abortion up to the 18th year of life. I mean, he would just say that kind of stuff.
Wow. Okay. Because I mean, I didn't know that about him at all. I just thought he was. I used to watch the show all the time. I thought he was funny, and I thought he was. Yeah. He used to go after both people.
Politically correct. This new thing, but
he used to go after both the right and the left, and then except until when Trump looked like he was going to get the nomination, and then had a chance to win, then he became just like a totally different person. I mean, he just went ballistic.
Exactly.
Crazy.
And he was pro-gun. Well, actually, he wasn't pro-gun. He talked about people who had guns.
Well, he owns two. He owns two himself.
He did not like radical Islam.
Yeah, he didn't like radical Islam. Mm-hmm. He owned two guns. He got into it with Ari Melber on his show one night because, he said, "Hey, I own a handgun." He goes, "You own a handgun?" He goes, "Actually, I own two. One for the upstairs, one for the downstairs." And, Ari Melber, liberal MSNBC, was like, "How could you even own a gun?" He goes, "Because a bunch of my houses get burglarized, and I don't want to be sitting there, just like, hi, no, I have a gun for upstairs and a gun for downstairs." And so, I always thought he was pretty fair. Then when Trump looked like he was going to win, then suddenly he became a complete nutcase. But I guess that might explain something if what you're saying is true.
It explains a lot. It explains a whole lot. Let's see what else was in the in the news. I'm sorry, I should have written it down before, but I wanted to call in and just say that because that's all I can think of. If something else comes in, you're still on, I'll call in again or I'll type it in the chat.
Oh, that'll be fine. Not a problem. All right, okay. Young lady. Well, thanks for calling in. Totally appreciate it.
Of course. Okay.
All right, that was the great Texas RN calling in, also a fellow subscriber to Axe Truth channel with most of us here on the chat tonight. And, I did not know that about Bill Maher. Go figure. Wow. And the more you know, it's like that little ticker on NBC. The Great Douchebag. Hey, Mr. Great Douchebag, how you doing? But is here to grace the chat room with his presence. Thank you for gracing the chat room with your presence, Mr. Great Douchebag. Totally cool. But yeah, let's see. Let's see what the rest of the news is we got going on here today. Donald Trump retains base support despite government shutdown setback. I mean, I was talking to this one liberal, and they're like, "Oh well, he's not going to get his wall. Mexico's not going to pay for it." And I'm like, "Oh, okay. I guess we'll all just leave now. I guess we're just going to drop our support for President Trump." It's like, well, no. You got to look at what everything else is going on. You got to look at the rest of the country and everything else. I mean, the economy's doing really good. We got peace over there in the Korea Peninsula. China's coming to the table to talk about trade. He signed a trade agreement with the European Union. He renegotiated NAFTA. It's now the U.S. and Mexico-Canada agreement, USMCA. And then it was funny because, at first Mexico was like, well, shouldn't we have Canada here? And Trump goes, no. And he goes, well, okay. So anyway, the I think it was the Mexican ambassador or their senior trade representative. I think prior to that deal being signed, he had 42 meetings inside the White House. 42 meetings inside the White House. Went to Jared Kushner's house like 2 or 3 times for dinner. This guy was, they were really eager to make a deal. And it turned out to be a pretty good win-win for both sides. Of course, we would have liked to have gotten more, but then it's not a win-win. Then it's not a good deal. And if it's not a win-win, the problem is if it's not a win-win deal, then it's always hard to enforce it because somebody's always going to want to cheat their way out of it or something like that because they don't like the terms and they just kind of had to begrudgingly sign off on them. So, but the nice thing about that is once he had that deal done with Mexico, Canada had to come with their hat in hand, if you will, and try to get in on it because they were late to the party, and that's because their foreign minister decided to go to Taiwan and insult Donald Trump while she was over there publicly at a meeting that was televised, and then she was actually banned. She was banned from the White House. She wasn't even allowed to go to the White House. She had to do all her meetings like at some executive office building, down the street. So, if you're going to come acting like an idiot, see you later. So Canada really got shafted on that, and then Trudeau's over there trying to explain to his people, oh, no, it wasn't that bad. Well, it was that bad. The Mexican president didn't have to explain to his people, well, it wasn't that bad. No, he didn't have to say that at all. He said, this is a really good deal. President Trump didn't have to say, well, it wasn't that bad. No, because it was a really good deal. So, but the only person who had to kind of say, well, it's not that bad was Trudeau because he got shafted. I mean, again, you come to the party late, tough luck if you want to be a dick and tell people how great you are and then have your foreign secretary, foreign minister insult the president of the United States while she's overseas in a public meeting. Don't expect any favors from us. And we didn't have to, after we had that deal done with Mexico, we didn't have to do any favors for them. We were done. I mean, we have a ton of trade with Mexico. The biggest thing I think we get from Canada, besides the cars that our own car companies go over and make, is lumber. And we don't need any of their dairy. We don't need their maple syrup. We get plenty of maple syrup at home. We don't need any from them. So there's not like we need anything from them. Thanks. Took it this morning. I like your new pick as well. Who's this? Let's see. Texas, not much. Great day. Have you seen any Trump? Ah, okay. But anyway, so let's see what else we got going on here. U.S. Air Force Canadian fighter jets escort Russian bombers. Yeah, I saw this story. They were up in the Arctic, up there in the Arctic. Yeah, I guess it was. Way up north. And a couple of Russian bombers were flying into that area, and that's patrolled actually by the Canadian Air Force. And so some F-22 American fighter planes as well as some Canadian fighter planes had to kind of escort them through, make sure they weren't doing anything stupid, like trying to hurt us or something to that effect. So, that kind of wasn't a good thing. So, that wasn't really good. Let's see. Let me put this back up here. There we go. Hey, in case you forgot, Carl's opinion. There you go. Let's see. Next story. Air Pelosi. Watchdog revisits House Speaker's hefty travel expenses on military aircraft. Well, there you go. If she had just said, okay, you can have your State of the Union, people, the old saying, people in glass houses should not throw stones. If, you're going to sit there and you want to play tough and everything, you better make sure your house is in order. And I guess maybe it's not so much in order. I guess she likes to travel a lot. And, I'm sure she can make up some reasons as to why she has to do that. But I guess some watchdog group is taking a look at her travel expenses. That's kind of funny. Because it was like, they were getting ready to get on the bus. The last time, remember, after she said, well, you're not doing the State of the Union, And he goes, oh, okay. And then she's getting ready to get on a military aircraft, forgetting for a second that the Congress does not control the military. That's the executive branch. He is the commander-in-chief. And he goes, no, I don't think we're going to let you get on that plane. But he waited right till they were getting ready to get on the bus, or they were on the bus, or whatever the bus. I mean, the luggage was packed. Everybody's ready to go on this big trip. They're all getting ready to go have fun. And then he says, nope, you're not taking a military aircraft. But, hey, you can fly commercial if you want. No problem. Bye. And, she's like, all crying. So now I guess somebody's looking at her travel expenses, kind of taking a deep dive into it. Again, if you live in a glass house, don't throw stones. That's my saying there. Oh, yeah, that was totally a boss move. Well, again, she had to be all petty and saying, well, because her first reason, you could tell it was just BS. Because her first reason was, well, the Secret Service, I don't feel comfortable with the Secret Service and not getting paid. Well, thank you for insulting the Secret Service, and the Capitol Police at the same time. I mean, great. And then they come back, hey, look, lady, we have a job to do, whether we're getting paid or not. We're going to protect you and the president. We're not going to let anybody some jihadi walk in and blow up the Capitol and kill everybody. They were really insulted. So then she backed up and says, oh, I don't think we should do this because it's not fair to these people to do this work and not get paid. Well, I didn't hear anybody complaining from the Secret Service about, well, we're not getting paid and we don't want to do this. It's just kind of like talking for them. Did she ask anybody over there? I doubt it. So, Judicial Watch, yeah. So, she didn't talk to anybody in the Secret Service to find out if they were, worried that they had to work, overtime, like till 10 o'clock at night or something, to get the whole speech done and get them transported from one end of Pennsylvania Avenue to the other. 'Cause that's all it was entailed. It's like one end of Pennsylvania Avenue to the other end of Pennsylvania Avenue. And it's not like they haven't done that before. Not like the first time the president hasn't come from the White House and gone to the Capitol to give a speech. Not just this president, but how many others in the past. Okay, I think they had that route covered. I think they know every single manhole cover, every single tree, every single parking spot. I think they know that route pretty good. If there's one route they have to know, I think it's that one, and I think they had it. So let's see what else here. All right, let's take a look at the next story we got going on here. Donald Trump vows shutdown or national emergency if border funding fails. Yeah, I talked about this last night with Chastity. I want to say her name's Chastity. She was on last night, calling, and we kind of went through Title 33 and also Title 10 that allows the president to declare a national emergency, and there are really no prerequisites like you have to make this kind of a finding. It's just pretty much, the declaration just says, I hereby declare a national emergency as reported to Congress within a few days. He has to specify the statute he's seeking the national emergency under, and also the statute and the previous authorization by Congress for what funding he's going to shift around. And again, normally Congress has an Article 1 prerogative, if you will, that they're the only ones who can appropriate money, except when they give that power away in very specific areas. And Congress did that through Title 10 with the drug interdiction law and Title 33 with the National Emergency Act. So that's when they said, okay, normally we appropriate funds, but the executive branch can do it, at least in these two instances, and there's several others, actually, where he can redirect funds that have already been appropriated for a project, and then he can bring in other funds from other projects and redirect them over there in the case of a national emergency. And obviously we have the 2006 Border Fence Act, and I think there was one also passed in 2012 that was signed into law by President Obama. So the appropriations were already made. The funding has never been completed. And he can have the Secretary of Defense and on Title 33 and the Secretary of Defense and Secretary of State on Title 10 actually redirect funds once he declares that national emergency. And a lot of people say that, yeah, it's going to go to the courts. Well, okay, so that's a reason not to do it? No. So they'll find a U.S. District Court judge, and I think prior to the last phone call, I was being asked why do all the D.C. cases always end up in the Ninth Circuit, and what I was trying to say was that's pretty much because of forum shopping. In other words, if you want, like, in D.C., I would assume you meant like district court cases. It's like if you know that, when you do a district court case, whether you win or lose, somebody's going to appeal. If you lose, you're going to take it up. If you win, the other side's going to take it up. So you want to find a nice circuit court of appeals that's going to be favorable to you. And if you're, a liberal and you're pushing for a liberal agenda, the Ninth Circuit is the most liberal circuit court of appeals in the country. And they're also the most reversed circuit court of appeals in the country as well by the Supreme Court. They hold those two honors. Nothing to be proud of. But a lot of cases, they know a lot of cases that go up to the Court of Appeals don't get heard by the Supreme Court, so a lot of times that's the final law. The Supreme Court denies certiorari, meaning that they will not hear the case. 4 justices decided they want to hear it. Plus, they can only hear so many cases. I mean, there's one Supreme Court. So they know then that'll be the final law of the decision of the Ninth Circuit. So that's why they have to find a legitimate reason to hold it in that particular venue, that particular judicial district. But you can always find something that touches or concerns that particular district. Somebody who lives there, for instance, or it's like an open. I can't remember. It's been a long time since I did a lot of federal work. There's like another area law where you can just pretty much file in any U.S. district court, just to get into the courthouse. And so, that's why they end up in the Ninth Circuit. If you're liberal, if you're conservative, don't think conservatives don't do the same thing. When they're looking for, like the Fifth Circuit's much more conservative, so they'll file something in a U.S. district court in that area as well, because it benefits them at the end of the day. Carl, have another one. I quit drinking about 4 years ago, actually, but thanks, though. But POTUS did it because he had dirt and able to protect. Chastity, that's who it is. Thank you. Right, Chastity, yes. The persons are hating me today. The great douchebag catching all kinds of hell. Actually, Amy, there was talk of actually breaking up the Ninth Circuit several years ago. In fact, I think that conversation happens once every 5 or 6 years. They talk about breaking up the Ninth Circuit because it also had another distinction since it covers California, that it has this huge caseload. So they were talking about breaking up into maybe 2 or 3 different circuit courts of appeals, or and then having part of it go into this circuit or that circuit. So actually, yeah. Let's see. Well, good for you, my brother. All right, and let's see what's going up here on the next one. So yeah, he can declare a national emergency. Congress can, by joint resolution, end it, but it has to. I was reading up on this last night. It has to be by a veto-proof vote, because unlike a joint declaration of war, where the president doesn't have to sign a joint declaration of war, they made it such that this was part of a compromise back in the 70s. They made it such that the president would have to sign off on the Congress ending, his declaration of war or declaration of national emergency, which sounds kind of weird. But the point being that if they have enough votes to override a veto, in other words, 2/3 of the Congress can override a veto, so they can end it with a 2/3 vote. In the Senate, that's 67 votes. So they can end it. He has to make annual reports as far as what he's doing with the money, where the money's going, what efforts have been made, what progress is made. But pretty much it's just a reporting statute. And again, the courts would hold it up initially. They would grant an injunction initially. My guess, they'd find a court that would do that. It would go up on appeal. It'd find its way to the Supreme Court, and eventually, it's not just because the Supreme Court's conservative, but I can't believe even liberal justices wouldn't agree that the president has that authority that was granted to him by Congress. Not this particular Congress, not this particular president, but Congress decided to do this. And it was a rigorous debate. The law was amended back in the 70s, so there was plenty of deliberation. So I would find it hard that even liberal justice would say, well, Congress got it wrong. No, I mean, they're not. I can't believe they would do that, but I guess they would. But it would definitely be, president's action would definitely be upheld, and any injunction would be undone by the Supreme Court. Even if it had to be a 5-4 vote, I'd be more happy if it was like a 7-2 vote, or even an 8-1 vote, or even a 9-0 vote, saying that, look, Congress, you gave away this authority, you gave it to the executive branch, we're not going to stand in your way. It's not our job to tell you did something wrong, because you didn't do anything unconstitutional. Okay, what you did it by statute. It has limitations on it. It has a way for it to be ended. So it's not unconstitutional, that law. They'd almost have to find the law itself was unconstitutional, which it's not. So I would just find I'd be really saddened if that went along like a conservative liberal party line vote. I'd like to see it not end up in that way, at least. Let's see. All right, let's hold on a second. Let's see what we got going on here. Okay. And again, there's the call-in number, 775-273-8970. And the video call, just send me an email to ca2jogger@gmail.com. Just put in the chat that you're sending me an email so I know to go open the email. and then I'll send you a link. Then you'll appear kind of, let's see, in this kind of a window. Let's pull it up. You'll appear just like this, except where that black box is, that'll be you. But anyway, hey, but there you go. Or you just feel free to call in, and we'll get you on the air. All right, so let's see who else we got. Let's see. I'm going to pull this down here so I can see this a little bit better. All right, Jen. Oh, this story I liked. I read this morning. Jen Stoltenberg, that's the head of NATO, I guess, says NATO heard Donald Trump's loud and clear will increase defense spending. Actually, he was jumping up and down because now he couldn't really come out and say I love Trump because he's in Europe and he runs NATO, so he couldn't really say that. But he was really happy that Trump kind of got on these people's asses about, hey man, you got to spend more money because remember this guy runs NATO, so he wants to make sure that NATO is well funded and is well prepared to meet with any kind of threat, whether it's against Russia, or anywhere else that NATO the troops are sent to. They want to make sure there's enough money, enough troops, enough men and material to get the job done. Because if it's not, it's his ass. So he was actually happy, at first quietly happy that Trump was getting on the Europeans' ass about spending some more money. And then after he got more money, he's jumping up and down now. He actually, here's a European actually praising Trump. Saying, wow, thank you, Mr. President, for making these guys pay some more money, because he's been trying to do this for years. President Obama tried a little bit of arm twisting, albeit not too much twisting on the arm part, to get him to pay more money, too. He used to talk to him quietly about it, privately all the time. And he was frustrated as hell, but he couldn't come out publicly because he was afraid he'd catch all this shit that Trump called, like, oh, you're going after our European allies. Well, the thing is, though, Obama could have actually done it and got away with it. He could have said, hey, you got to pay more money. And who was going to criticize Obama for saying that? The liberals wouldn't have criticized him. The conservatives would have been like, yeah, damn right. So, I mean, one of those only Nixon can go to China things. It's too bad he didn't do that. Oh, hold on. Close this out. Okay. Doop-a-doop. All right. Okay. So, he could have done that, and I don't think he would have caught any shit from it at all. Again, the conservatives wouldn't have criticized him for going after Europe to spend more money on defense. The liberals, of course, they weren't going to, stab their own guy in the back. So he could have actually done that and probably been quite successful at it because he was actually very popular in Europe, too. So, he could have walked over there and had a big rally and said, hey, you guys need to spend, you tell your leaders to spend some more money, and they would have had big rallies in support of him, probably. I mean, he was always more popular in Europe than the leaders of those countries were. So, I mean, that, he's more popular in Europe than President Trump is. But, sometimes it takes, you got to have some guts, you got to have some balls, basically, and go out there and say the right thing and do the right thing. It means, you got to risk taking a little bit of heat. But, again, I think the risk was de minimis with him. I don't think he would have taken any heat at all. I don't know where would the heat come from? I mean, who would have criticized him over that? Like, nobody. That's why you see Schumer and stuff when President Obama was in the White House. See Schumer and all them, backing him up on deporting people, backing him up on building a wall, backing him up on his immigration positions. Because they're like, well, yeah, this is what we got to do. Now, of course, they're against it because Trump's for it, which. I don't know. I don't know what to do with this anymore. This Trump derangement syndrome is it's like real. I mean, it's like real. Let's see. Carl likes my one-liners, but maybe I will call it. I like some of your one-liners, Mr. Great Douchebag. Yeah, you can feel free to call in if you want. I would be more than happy to have you call in. I definitely enjoy the conversation with you. So please, feel free. Not a problem. Hold on, I gotta light another cigarette. All right, so let's see. We love one-liners. That's good. All right, let's see. What else? What else is in the news today? Because again, everybody's covering that one story, so it's like, well, there's a lot of other stuff going on. Well, this is obviously an editorial. New York abortion law allows for barbaric butchering of the innocent. Well, actually, that's pretty factual because anybody who knows anything about how an abortion is actually the procedure, how it's done, it's really barbaric. It's really quite sickening and gross. I mean, they either slice and dice and a little small scalpel up there to just like literally cut, and slice body parts and sever ligaments and stuff, and then they suck it out with a vacuum cleaner kind of device. It's really gross. And then, like, when it gets that late, it's like you can't really do that because it's too big. So I think somebody was saying they have to use some kind of a poison, but I'm not sure that makes any sense. Maybe they do the poison after they bring the baby out of the woman's body. That's. I mean, that's. I don't know how anybody says that's not murder. I mean, it's beyond me. I don't know. I've been doing criminal defense for 25 years now. Yeah, I mean, I got a client. Say if I have a defendant and there's like a baby sitting on a table and he just walks up and poisons it. I mean, the woman had just given birth, for instance, and he's like, "Well, I don't want this kid," so then he kills it. Guess what? That's like life in prison. That's murder. So if some loser is sitting there, his wife just gives birth in the house, and he sees the baby there, and he just picks it up and hits it in the head with a hammer, he's going to prison for the rest of his life. But if somebody who's not even a doctor, because the New York law made exceptions, you don't have to be a doctor anymore. There's other people that can do it. I don't know who. Some guy, homeless guy on the street, I guess, is qualified. But if some doctor does it, the same set of facts. Baby comes out, same set of facts, like dad and mom, except mom says that, well, actually, the first hypothetical, let's make it like the way it is. Baby comes out. Mom goes, I don't want the baby. Dad goes, I don't want the baby either. Mom says, hey, can you hit that baby? Can you kill that baby? And the dad goes, yeah, and takes a hammer and whacks him in the head with it. Okay, they're both going to prison. Murder, aiding and abetting, boom, have a nice day. So here we go. So you have mom and dad, they're in the abortion clinic or in a hospital or wherever. Baby comes out. Baby's still alive. Mom says, I don't want the baby. Dad says, I don't want the baby. They look at this abortion dude, say, hey, can you kill it? Oh, yeah, no problem. Bam. I don't know, a hammer, a knife, a pair of scissors, poison, I don't know. And baby's dead. And guess what? And in New York law, nobody goes to prison. Nobody. Same set of facts, except you just add this abortion dude in there, wearing a white jacket. Maybe. I don't know. And, I just don't understand the reason behind it. I was talking to, I think Texas and I were talking about this yesterday. I think it was Texas, if I'm not mistaken. I just don't understand it. It doesn't make any sense to me. I mean, at some point you have to have some kind of a moral compass. You have to be willing to say what's right, what's wrong. It's like, well, and the big policy, the ultimate big policy behind it is that, well, if women are tied down to having babies, they're never going to get ahead. Remember, Hillary Clinton even said something similar to that. Trust me, she didn't make this up. This is a line been used for generations. If we don't stop baking cookies and raising kids, we're never going to be equal to men. Like, as if that's a goal to obtain. Like, that's the ultimate goal. The ultimate goal is not the survivability of the human species. Of course, that's silly. Who wants that? If you hate yourself, you hate your family, you hate your friends, you hate everybody, then I guess the survivability of the human species is not important to you. In fact, it's probably counterintuitive. You want us all to be gone. But, somebody has to have babies and somebody has to, give birth to them, and that's the way it kind of works, If that doesn't happen, there are no more human beings. So there you go. It's Amy, I agree with you. It's demonic. It is. And then if you're secular, you could just say it's, well, evil. Evil is somewhat non-secular. Also, I guess you have to kind of reach for a religious term, which is okay because I'm Catholic, and so right there with you. So yeah, demonic, evil, just disgusting, wrong. Oh, got a call coming in. Let's go ahead and take that. Area code 281, you're on the air with Carl's Opinion. Go ahead.
Hey there, Carl. It's Texas RN again. I just want to make a brief just a comment about the this abortion thing.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. Okay. I think also, guys, Hillary Clinton mentioned this in one of the debates with President Trump, and I forgot which one, maybe the third one. But she says that they should be allowed to have an abortion in the ninth month, and I just thought, and I know that President Trump knew what she was talking about. I mean, he's had to really just hunker down and be quiet and let all this stuff, because while they're, I guess, just kind of setting the noose for these people, getting the noose ready. But it's to hear, for us to even hear this, we're speaking of things that we never thought we'd even have a conversation about. And,
right.
Yeah, it's to demoralize, humanity. It makes us feel like powerless. These are things that these people have been doing. They've been doing them, but it's the slap in the face. It's just the whole evil, deviant, disgusting, depraved nature of it that they're slapping us with. I don't know of many problems that a woman in her ninth month, in the third trimester, ninth month, is having to where that will even be necessary. That is just disgusting. It's gross. It should never even happen. And I haven't even brought myself to watch Cuomo speaking about it. But I'm just thinking, I mean, the way people talked about it, they were like, these people were getting like almost a high off thinking. It is so depraved.
Well, it was weird. It's one thing if you kind of like pass something like that, but I mean to be literally applauding and cheering, and like the woman who represented, Roe in the abortion case, the Roe versus Wade case, you got a big old grin on her face, and it's like we were always hoping for this day. Like they always said, no, we just want the first trimester. That's it. We're not going to want anything else. And here they go. I mean, pass this law. I mean, and they're cheering and they're like celebrating it, like it's something to be celebrated. And it's like, wow, this is crazy. I mean, like, and I'm watching this, and you're like, who are all these people in the same room together? I mean, that's like, what a bunch of lunatics.
Right. You would think that someone in there was like, I mean, at some point, but I believe me, we're seeing mostly this type of coverage of it, but they're not showing the coverage of the disgust that other people are having. So again, that's mainstream media. That's that's a strength and that they've been doing forever. So all we're seeing is that, believe me, people are appalled by I don't possess the vocabulary to describe how people feel about this. But another thing, this is what I think what they're also doing. That's why wanting to bring in all these people. They will literally breed. It's kind of like they'll have women they're getting them pregnant just to have babies to do this. This will literally be a business. That's what they're trying to do.
Oh no, I agree.
I'm telling you, that's what it's not going to be just your regular everyday woman, because that woman's not doing that. Normal people aren't doing that. Normal people, they're going to think of stuff like this. They're using young mothers, people who are undocumented, and that's why they want so many undocumented people, because they don't exist, because they're vulnerable.
Well, I mean, all you got to do is, I mean, just think about it. I mean, depending on, I don't know how much money they make on these body parts and, different glands and all that stuff. But say they, one baby can deliver like, say $15,000, profit. Well, I mean, you can go to the inner city and find a woman and give her like, $2,000, $1,000, give her $1,000. Say we'll take care of your food and your housing until such time as you give birth. And then guess what? After she gives birth to that one, just tell her to go get pregnant with somebody else and have another one. I mean, there you go.
Exactly. It'll be like a farm. It's a farm.
Like a puppy farm. It's like you'll see these big kind of there'll be these apartment complexes and stuff. All these women that are pregnant, and these doctors are going there and make sure they're healthy and everything. And then of course then comes like the 8th month or 9th month or whatever it's the most profitable to remove the child. And then you'll have a doctor come in and say, "Oh, health issue. We got to do an abortion." And then off they go. And who's gonna keep an eye on that in New York State?
So you'll see a rise. you'll just see a rise in all these women having, quote, all these difficulties in the 9th month where there's a choice to be made. And to me, yes, it's just it's manufactured problems and manufacturing of these innocent babies, and just basically but to me, just the throwing it in the face. I mean, again, this is pure evil. It is almost like I said, we know they've been doing it. Well, now I know they've been doing it. At first, this would never. I didn't even think of something like this. I didn't know what Planned Parenthood was actually doing. But this is like they'll be incentivizing doctors. But then I heard that the people who are doing these procedures, you don't even have to be a doctor. They can just, to save money, they'll just get maybe a nurse practitioner or a midwife, or just any old woman who knows, or woman who knows how to deliver a baby.
Yeah, because
and they'll probably be
on the law, and I kind of glanced at it. Somebody else was covering it. I was glancing at it and pausing their video because I was reading the actual law. But yeah, like a lot of states, they were trying to pass. Well, they did pass some laws saying, you have to be a doctor to be able to perform an abortion, and in New York State is like excluding that requirement. So I forgot what the level of like an LCSW or something. I don't know what you have to be, but it's definitely you don't have to be an MD to do this.
Oh yeah, they'll relax the laws on it because it's disgusting. So they'll relax the laws because I don't know of many doctors who will do that, because then when an abortion like our D&C, dilation and curettage, where they go in and dilate the cervix and they kind of scrape out the little baby is attached to the wall of uterus. That's some people have to have it. Sometimes there's a problem with it. They'll do an ultrasound and you'll see that there's a problem. But with this is just like, I think that the sick thing that they're wanting out of this is that they want to basically to kill the baby. That's what this is about.
Yeah.
That's what, they want to do that. So, I know this is icky to even talk about, but we have to, because we have to be upset. Because again, once you get used to this, what else will they get you used to? And that's another thing.
Well, euthanasia is right behind the corner on this one. The next thing is going to be, for the elderly or whatever. If you're willing to say you can abort up to a 9-month-old child, then the next thing is going to be euthanasia, and you have to start getting rid of older, not old people, but like older people. And then what's the cutoff? What's the illness? Yeah.
I worked some of the last work I've done for a few years. I used to work in the hospital and did med surg and ortho and trauma. But this is so I started working in nursing homes, and they didn't allow bed alarms. You don't have a lot of confused people, and they didn't want bed alarms. A bed alarm is when, they're in the bed and they move or shift to try to get up.
Right.
Falls, we have an alarm.
Yeah. We
run to them and save them from falling, because people die of falls every day. So anyway, in the nursing homes, a lot of them stopped bed alarms from being allowed.
Wow.
And I understand the restraints thing. You have too many people. If you have lazy staff and you have someone in restraints, that's dangerous. But they didn't want bed alarms, and so and then this I don't know if it's a law, Carl, but what they said, and this is what all nurses were repeating, because this is what the state said: patients have the right to fall. Does that not sound like some liberal BS? They have the right to fall.
That's pretty crazy.
And I'm thinking, what? The right to, and what bothers me is what nurse thought that was okay? And then we just go along with it because patients have the right to fall. But I was talking to a director one time, and she was like, well, she tried to give a rationale for why they don't do that, the bed alarms. And I said, well, look, in the hospital, right before we send these people to the nursing homes for rehab, they have a semi-private room, some of them, and they have bed alarms. And not only can we hear the alarm, but we see the room number, on a little screen.
Right.
So what's the difference? They're still confused in the hospital, and they're still confused in a nursing home. That's because I just feel this country doesn't really care about the elderly. And
No,
I hate to say it, and it's
no,
really sad.
no, we really don't. And there's a lot you can learn from people who have been around. I mean, like
Definitely.
I'm 53, and I compare it to what I know about life or anything else when I was 23, 30 years ago. I mean, it's like night and day.
Right.
I know so much more than I knew then.
Right.
And I can imagine, 25 years from now, I'm going to know even a hell of a lot more. And to sit there and
Yes.
say, like, you're not a source, of information or, intellect, I mean, I don't need to move around very fast to be able to, impart knowledge on other people. And especially, let's be honest, 25 years from now, you'll be able to impart knowledge, through just like, it's going to like go from you to somebody else like really fast. So, I mean, the idea that we don't want to keep these people around us, to kind of like give us advice and let us
And
know
it's
how
for
things.
money too. It's like they thrive on, I guess for someone to break a bone, and here we go. They're back to the hospital because they broke a hip. I mean, that doesn't even need to happen. But again, when President Trump was talking about deregulations, I'm really thinking, how do I would like it to trickle down, and for the nursing home industry to be looked at when it comes to all these regulations, because it makes it more difficult to take care of people because of how many patients you have. But it goes back to this, this whole thing of making money and them eliminating people by someone being completely debilitated because of a fall, because of
Right.
injuries that happen, because you don't have enough help, and because you can't, because it's something as simple as a bed alarm. So again, it comes with the babies all the way to the elderly. They're vulnerable population.
Right. No, I totally agree. And so, well, it's this generation. They have. It's not. Well, it's not even this generation. I mean, Cuomo's my age. I'm now a little bit older. I don't know. It's just this mindset. It's like it's really weird. It's like they
I
hate.
think that they're into some occult stuff. I really do. I think that too. I think now that it's becoming more apparent to me, and I know, Carl, this sounds all. Everything's on the table now with this stuff. From what we've discovered since President Trump has come in and really he's just busted this wide open, because all these secrets are spilling out. But I think that a lot of these people have been raised in this stuff, and they're immune to it because it's normal to them. And President Trump, when he made that comment, he's made it several times. He said, "You guys, these folks are compromised in ways you wouldn't believe," and so that made a lot of sense. They're compromised. So the stuff that, like even just with the drug cartels, that a lot of them are held kind of hostage by that, but they're held hostage by the stuff that they've done, by the secrets. And I almost wish that that these people, some of them would just come clean and say, you know what, look, I did this, I did that, and it would be repulsive to us. But the more of them you would hope that would do that and just turn themselves in, I wish that could happen. Because what's happening is they're holding people hostage by blackmailing them. And I think Justice Roberts, I think it's deeper than just that him with this adoption. Because I'm thinking, why didn't he just come out and say, look, we skipped over there were some loopholes that enabled us to be able to adopt these kids. There's something much worse than that. Because who's going to, blame this man, him and his wife, if they're just good parents who found some children and they really love them, and the children are now protected and they have a family now. This is something far deeper for this man to go against his principles and the American people.
Right.
Because, they have dirt on him.
Yeah. And
horrible dirt on him.
Yeah. Now, what was the story with Robert? Because I missed that one. So he adopted some kids and he didn't go through all the proper procedure. In Ireland. Okay.
Yeah, and in Ireland, they're not supposed to be able to. There's something you're not allowed to do. I don't know. I should have been more prepared when I brought it up. But he was able to adopt kids, and whereas other people wouldn't have been able to do it.
Oh, okay.
So I guess his power, his influence. But Obama supposedly used that against him, but it's something much worse because his kids look.
You mean use him against him to so he'd vote in his favor on the individual mandate?
Much worse.
Wow,
yeah,
that's
right,
scary.
Exactly.
That's scary. Yeah, because
And
that was
that comment against Trump.
Yeah, because that was a real tortured reasoning he used to say the individual mandate was constitutional. I mean, he really had to really go out on a limb and find like, well, it's not really a tax, it's a fee, or it is a tax, but it's not a tax, but it's collected by the Internal Revenue Service, and you have to put it down on your tax return. And I mean, it's it was pretty crazy what tortured logic he used to arrive to that decision. And when I remember reading it back then, and I'm like, whether I agree with it or not, it's like that's really tortured logic. That's like, I thought this guy was pretty smart, but I guess he is really smart. He's just being blackmailed. I hope that's not true. That'd be really sad if it's true.
Yeah, and him being a Supreme Court justice, when he made a comment to President Trump, because President Trump said, these are the Obama judges, and then Justice Roberts said something like, "Well, none of us we're not judges in this administration or that administration," and so again, he was kind of getting some pushback that you would think that a man in that position who's supposed to just be, I guess, like ultra neutral, if there's such a thing. So it has to be much worse. And I didn't know, even with Ginsburg, with some of her beliefs in a book that she wrote, that the age of consent and should be lower. It was like incredibly, so again, this woman's been on the bench all these years. I didn't even know that.
So she was pushing for the age of consent to be lowered?
Yes. Oh, like 12.
Oh, my God. Oh, yeah. That's just we need.
Ginsburg, so she had a whole lot of stuff, and she did all this Egypt stuff that she would talk, and, she was just creepy, this creepy Mrs. Creeperson. A lot of these people, I just couldn't believe that this was even, that these were their beliefs, so again, this swamp being drained, it is happening. I believe it's happening, but it's amazing how deeply entrenched this stuff is. And someone else was talking about, excuse me, when over at Access, the lies that these that CNN and the MSNBC, the cable news. I'm really shocked at that because, again, they're not just spinning it. It's just full-blown lies. So they're keeping a whole lot of stuff out of it. And this is why, thank goodness, we have these avenues, and they're brave people who are doing that the hard work and the scary stuff to find out this information.
I was listening to Access Channel when that caller called in and said, at first it was kind of like, well, maybe you got it wrong, or this, but now it's just like outright lying.
Yeah.
They're just coming out just outright lying about stuff, and then when the truth comes out, then they say, oh, yeah, here's a little retraction. Meanwhile, the damage is already done, and they know it. Who had there's somebody? Oh, I was listening to. Was it Stefan Molyneux, and he gave a quote from, obviously not from him, but from somebody else, and he goes, what was the line? I wrote it down somewhere. It was, the truth can travel, a lie can travel around the world. Yeah. A lie can travel around the world 2 times before the truth actually has its boots on, or something like that. I
think Mark Twain said that, if I'm not mistaken, years ago. I read that a long time ago. Yes, but that is true, and it's almost like they seem to take a sick pride in their lives, because again, I tell you what, just think, had Hillary become president, all the stuff because now. This is the stuff they would have done anyway. But now, because we're so much more awake and aware, it's repulsive to us, and it's just ridiculous. But these were the things that they would have been able to just easily push on us without shame. Because pretty much without shame now. But without shame, they would have been able to do this. That's why it sounds so ridiculous. But just imagine, if she'd been president.
Oh, we would have never.
Discussion about this abortion stuff. It wouldn't be a discussion. It would just be like, hey, this is what's going to happen.
Right. Yeah. This. First of all, you would have had 2 different justices on the bench right now. A lot of these decisions that are coming down would have gone just the opposite direction. You probably would have had even more people bringing stuff up to the Supreme Court. Nobody's going to get rubber stamped. So to avoid, the Congress. So I mean, no, I mean, if she had been elected, we were heading off a cliff, and if she,
I don't think people realize, Carl.
Yeah, 8 more years. I mean, we would have been off the cliff. We'd been over with. I mean, like all those caravans that kept showing up at the border. Well, first of all, there'd be like 10 times as many. Yes. But every one of those caravans that came to the border, she would have just let them in. Oh, come on in. So that would have encouraged. You would have literally had several 100,000 people forming up caravans all the way from Argentina all the way through Central America. I mean, just coming in here in the droves, and she would have been like, "Well, we're good people, and we're better than that, and we're going to let them in to help them out." Literally, you'd probably have a couple million more illegals in here right now than you have right now. I mean, they would have just flooded the border, and she would open the door and let them all in.
Yes, and they would be given special favors, and again, that's another way to demoralize your people because you see and. There's already this whole thing of you get in big trouble if you even mention that someone's illegal. And, I mean, like I said, Sweden, I just got tired of reading about that. But I was so glad to see, of course, France speak up in the way that they have.
The Yellow Vest.
The Yellow Vest movement.
Yeah, Yellow Vest protest, yeah.
Yeah. So, but that's what I wanted to say, Carl. I hope I didn't take us too much time on the
call.
No,
not at all. In fact, I only had one additional story to get to, and that abortion one was just as important for me and as it is for you, and I'm sure like you said, for a whole lot of people whose voices aren't getting heard on the mainstream media, because of course, I'm sure everybody they're interviewing is just saying, "Oh, this is great." They're not, and then the few people that they'll bring on to say this is wrong, there'll be some nutcase idiot who doesn't know anything, and they'll get cross-examined by one of the members of the media, and they'll look like idiots. So I mean, it's definitely not any. Yeah, they'll find the dumbest moron in the world to put on there and say, here's the opposite position, and it'll be some idiot. And they'll just rip him to pieces, and then he'll get mad and walk off the show and say, "See, that's what we're dealing with. This is Trump's America. Mm-hmm. These are the deplorables. This is what we were trying to tell you, people. Look at these people; they're stupid."
Yes, right. The Trump supporters, and that's why like I said, I still had some reservations about Candace Owens, but what I like about her is she's a beast. She's someone, I'd almost like to see her in that press secretary position, which what Sarah Huckabee Sanders is doing. I'd like to see Candace Owens there.
Yeah, that would be pretty funny. That would be pretty funny. Yeah. And then it would be great. And it would be great. She'd throw the race card at him once in a while.
Yeah,
exactly. Then what are they going to say? What are they going to say?
That's right. What are they going to say? And she said the left, this race politics, this race card, you created it. Now it's coming back to haunt you. It
is coming back. It's coming back to bite them right in the ass, actually. So it couldn't happen to a better group of people. But all right, Miss Texas, you go and have a great night, and I'll see you the next time we're either on Axe's site or I'm doing a live stream myself. And I assume are you gonna hang out in the chat room for a bit?
Oh yeah, I'm not. Yeah, I'm still up.
Ah, fantastic. All right.
I'll in the chat room. Okay. Bye-bye.
All right, bye-bye. And, of course, that was the great Texas RN again, and very knowledgeable on medical procedures, obviously, hence the word RN in her name, Texas RN, and offer great amounts of medical insight, that a lot of us don't have, including me. I don't know. So it's always good to have callers come in who can offer a point of view and insights based on their experience and their profession. That I definitely don't have. So yeah, definitely great call in there for sure. And I do just have one more story to cover. Actually, let's see. There was an AI story, and I don't have it here in front of me, but there was. If you see here, a glimpse of emerging technology from around the world. But the reason why I'm looking at this so much is because there was a story about artificial intelligence in the Washington Times this week, and I never got a chance to get to it to cover it. And one of the things they were talking about in their headline was the fact that, about, I think they said something like 25 or 35% of the workforce is going to be put out of work, the next, probably 20 years with artificial intelligence. And that kind of goes to the whole illegal immigration debate we're having right now. It's like, if we know this, and we know, say, 25 to 30% of low-skilled workers are going to be put out of work, why are we importing a whole bunch more of low-skilled workers, many of whom don't have even a high school degree, or any skills that can be used in a not a non-job, in a job that's going to be taken over by, robots. And, this isn't far away, and it's probably going to be closer than we think. A lot of people are trying not to sound the alarm bell too much because they don't want to seem like they're nuts, But, this technology is moving fast. Technology moves fast, and it moves super fast. And then, like, you get more technology, then it allows additional technology to move even faster. The faster computer speeds we have, the kind of software we're producing. I can see within the next 20 years, where you're going to go to McDonald's and there'll be a robot, not just a kiosk. No, they're doing way more than that. They're talking from, all the way from taking in products from vendors, bringing in the boxes full of, the frozen burgers, the frozen French fries, the produce and everything, getting it stored away, and then to the production line, to actually making the hamburger, and then having it brought to the counter, and, you paying for it. So, this is all like real deal. And the idea like, you can only use a credit card. No, you can use cash. When's the last time you've been to an ATM? You can deposit cash through an ATM. The ATM reads the bills, reads them with their hundreds or 20s or 10s or 5s. You can put a whole stack of different bills in there. It's going to read each bill, right, exactly the way it is. So, this is here, this is now, this is going to happen. And, people who are pushing for illegal immigration for unskilled, uneducated workers, this artificial intelligence is going to, when this thing hits, it's going to even be worse. The more unskilled, uneducated workers we have in this country, the harder it's going to be on every one of them, including the Americans who are here right now. And we're doing just the opposite of softening the blow. We're making the blow going to be a lot harder to take. But anyway, that's all that I had to talk about tonight. I just wanted to thank everybody for coming into the chat, and everybody and thanks Texas for calling in, and great conversation, and everybody who's participated here tonight. And I just want to say, if you liked the video, definitely hit a like on it. It's not hard to do. And if you haven't subscribed yet, please subscribe. And to all those watching later, I just want to say thank you, and thank you for joining Carl's Opinion, because remember, it's my opinion, and I'm Carl. All right, guys. Anyway, have a good one, and I will talk to you later. I'll throw some music on here for you, so to cut you out with some music. And let's find it right here. Let's see if I can find you some music. Here we go. This is a good song. Let's do this one. Boom, boom, boom. So I'm going to be playing.